Okay, everyone, I'd like to welcome you to My Recovery Day Jam 2022. Recovery is possible and it rocks. And kick it off tonight, I have Johnny Mullinax from Hoodoo Barbecue. He's going to give you a 10-minute lead to tell you what it was like, real briefly. What happened on the day you got sober, Johnny? And what do you do today to stay in recovery? Johnny Mullinax, Hoodoo Barbecue.
Thanks, Bill. All right, we're going to keep this brief. He gave me 10 minutes, so I gotta actually talk like I know what I'm doing. So what happened? I was a mess from a very early age. I had a very addictive personality. By the time I was 12, I was using as frequently as I could. By the time I was 15, I used every day, every minute of every day that I possibly could, that I could afford. And all of that led to trouble. A lot of internal trouble. I think I'm speaking too fast, but so I grew up in a weird house where we didn't talk about emotions. I stuffed it all, and then to anesthetize all of those feelings that I had anyhow, I drank and I did a lot of drugs. I did as much as I could to stay obliterated every single day. When I quit, I totaled this up while I was sitting in treatment. I had a $3,500 a week cocaine habit. I drank a quart of gin every day. I drank beer just as washers. I smoked weed like people smoke cigarettes, and I detoxed from all of that very abruptly because this nice police officer with a gun stuck it in my face and told me, if you move, I'm going to have to shoot you. And I was thrilled because I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I wanted him to shoot me. And then I had this overwhelming peace wash over me that basically said, yeah, you're done. And at that time, I wanted to be done. I just didn't know how to be done. So I got this gift certificate from the court system, and they said, you know, go to 90 meetings in 90 days, and I did fine with that. In fact, I think I did 125 meetings in my 90 days. And I had an okay foundation, but here's the problem. I was going to meetings. I wasn't working a program. I just went to meetings, sat in a chair, took up time, ate a donut, and that was pretty much how I worked my program until about 6 months in, when I found myself sitting on the edge of a bridge at 4 o'clock in the morning, wanting to be done again. But I was going to take the coward's way out. And I met this nice old man who thought he was going to come and ask me for a ride home. That guy saved my life. Every Sunday night for 6 months, I sat in the same room with this guy, but he was the 73-year-old guy sitting in the corner in a polyester leisure suit that I paid no attention to whatsoever. That guy taught me everything I needed to know about being sober in the first year. When I started to actually work the program and I met this man and he started to teach me things, the very first thing he taught me was, you got to listen to learn, but you got to learn to listen. And I was very good at, while other people were talking, thinking about what my rebuttal was. And that was what he was trying to tell me, was just listen and then apply things. And I got okay at that. I was never very good at it. I'll just be honest about it. So, but he also taught me some very simple principles that keep me sober. I guess I should tell you that my sobriety date is January 4th, 1984. So that makes it 38.8 years of sobriety. Thank you. Sometimes I don't feel like I deserve it, but I guess I did all of the right things. And you know what the simplest right thing that I've done the entire time I've been in this program? It was one of the lessons from this guy named Emmett Maley. He said, if you don't pick up, you cannot get high. And it was simple, and it was an easy set of instructions, and I lived by those. And the other thing he taught me how to do in depth was to think that drink through. So I'm good at that too, but here's the other side of it. I wanted to be done. I knew I was an alcoholic. I didn't know how to stop on my own. Because I wanted to be done, and because I was very willing to accept the fact that I was an alcoholic and that I needed help that I could not give myself. God, Gosh, I lost that train of thought. But oh, anyhow, let's just continue. So I got these sets of instructions about not picking up, about going to meetings. This guy would sign me up for coffee at meetings I never even went to. And he would go, "You're going to this meeting Tuesday night." And I'd go to that meeting and I'd make coffee and I'd shake hands. That's what he taught me to do. Stand at the door, shake hands, make the acquaintance, greet people, welcome them into the rooms. And I did that for a very long time. Because I don't have that compulsion to use again, I never had that struggle that a lot of people have with going back out. I wanted to be done. I set my sights on being done, and I just embraced being done. So I go to treatment center for 30 days, and I have this counselor who literally spent every single moment of her time breaking me down and turning me into nothing so that I could rebuild myself. So I came out after those 30 days and, I had this court case hanging over me, and the judge gave me treatment in lieu of conviction. But he told me if I ever show up in his court, even for a parking ticket, I'm going to go do every day of the 5 years that he had just sentenced me to. And I wasn't interested in that. I spent 3 days in county jail with a bunch of people that I was just like, I don't even want to talk to you people. So I realized I didn't want to be there. I didn't want that to be the rest of my life. So I did the things necessary to not go back to jail. And it's simple. If we don't pick up, we don't get high. It's a simple, simple concept. 38 years into this thing, I wish I could tell you, because one of the things I'm supposed to tell you is what I do now to stay sober. And because honesty is one of those 4 absolutes, I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you. I don't do enough. And that's as simple as it gets. I ran into somebody the other day and I asked him about a meeting that I stood at and shook hands at for 8 solid years. I asked him if people were still shaking hands, and he said, no, nobody does that anymore. And to me, that's a great loss, because these people are coming in and they're lost and they're hurt and they're broken and they're looking for a way to feel connected to something. And it's something as simple as a handshake helps that person stay sober even for a year, 2 years, it doesn't matter. If they get 90 days out of that handshake, I'm okay with that. So when people ask me about sobriety and what it's like, I'm going to tell you, it's fun. It is an absolute blast. It's the best time of my life. And I'm going to tell you why it's the best time of my life. There were no chemicals, nothing influencing it. I wasn't having fun because the whatever combination of things I took let me have fun or made me feel like I was having fun. I have actual fun now. So when I was in treatment, they taught me, because they'd ask me, how do you feel, John? I couldn't tell them how I felt, but I could write how I felt. So I started writing. And by the time I got done, they'd say, well, go tell us how you feel. Try to keep it to about 7 or 8 chapters and see if you could keep us to like a small novella if you can. And I did, but I discovered so much about myself and how I wound up in the position I am and how the alcoholism works inside of me that I've somehow managed to string together 38 years. I mean, I don't know how to, and to be honest with you folks, sometimes the only thing I do is don't drink. I mean, and that's a good day. It doesn't sound successful, but that's a good day for an alcoholic. That's a damn good day. So anyhow, so what I do now is I will greet you and I will talk to you and I will sit down with you. And if you're like some family members, they'll call and they'll say, hey, can you talk to? And it's like, yes, I will. I'll be happy to talk to them, and they can call me whenever they want to, because that's how it's supposed to be. I don't know if I'm ever going to, save somebody like Emmett did with me on that bridge at 4 a.m. But I can't argue with the success I've had because of the foundation that this one single man helped me get to. Now, I told you he was a 73-year-old retired rocket scientist, right? I was a 23-year-old punk rocker in full regalia, and this guy never, ever judged me. All he wanted from his encounter with me was for me to be sober and have a good, happy life. And I do. And now when I get stressed, when I get aggravated, when I get all of that stuff building up from a week of work, I write. I still write. I write. I gotta open the phone so to make sure I don't go over. So anyhow, so I keep writing, I keep dumping the garbage. When you see me on this stage, I'm dumping all of the garbage and the tension from the week. And that's what gets me through a lot of weeks. And now we're at 9 minutes and 35 seconds, and I'm going to let Bill come back up here. Stay sober, stay clean, have some fun. Life is cool.
Was that awesome or what? Let's give him a hand. 38 years, Johnny Mullinax.